Hey there, and welcome back to another Wild Thursday, everybody. This week, first time guest, but frequent attender in the chat.
Yeah.
And if you are somebody that is a part of the Disconnected Discord, you'll definitely recognize this name. We have Mr. Blake Bergman, who you will know as Spaghetti, aka Various Spaghetti, aka the guy who writes on Letterboxd all the damn time. Blake,
Yeah.
thanks for doing this.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
It's been a bit since I've wanted to do this, and since I've had you on the list, we've got some cool stuff to talk about. One, we probably should start with the fact that you and I got to work together earlier this
Yeah.
year on River from Graveface. You were part of the very first Graveface release. How was it putting out your first visual essay, my friend?
Oh man. It was very exciting. And it was definitely a big learning lesson. I love that you get to go through, not that it was troublesome or anything, but just the trial and error of learning the process and really getting to put together sort of the pragmatic skills that I'm applying in other areas and put it on a disc.
Right.
Definitely was a big learning lesson. And yeah, it was just a ton of fun and very gratifying that I was able to find that I could do something like that, and also work with you guys on that as well. So for sure, it's definitely a team effort.
We were stoked to have you, and not to mention to be a part of the first Greyface release is really cool for all of us that got to be a part of it. And it's an incredible movie for anybody that hasn't picked up River yet. Could you tell them a little bit about the movie?
Yeah, so it's a collaboration between the director Junta Yamaguchi and then also the writer Makoto Ueda. And with those two, it's all about time paradoxes. And this is the second time that those two have worked together. Another shout out is a film called Beyond the Infinite, 2 minutes. But basically, the narrative of this story is it's a small little mountain resort community in Japan, and where it's pretty simple life day to day, and all of a sudden with really no explanation, time starts resetting every 2 minutes, and so panic sets in. Everybody's trying to figure it out. But the interesting novelty of this film is that everybody retains the knowledge of the past 2 minutes, even though 2 minutes is resetting. So
Right.
it's very much a movie where they're problem solving and they only get 2 minutes to make a step forward with things. And then the 2 minutes resets, but they still remember what they did. So it's a constant rat race, is the best way to put it, where they learn all about themselves, trying to get themselves out of the situation. But then also, there's a weird tandem where, as they only have 2 minutes and it's resetting, they suddenly have all the time in the world. So there's
Right.
a lot of interesting concepts there. So it's a fun film.
And somehow been overlooked by a lot of people. It like played some festivals, did not get a lot of attention like Beyond the Infinite 2 minutes did at first. And first off, I just love that the creative team worked together multiple times on a very similar idea and
Yeah.
made two very different movies.
Yeah, yeah. They both deal with time concepts, but like I said, River is more the rat race kind of scenario, and then the other one, Beyond the Infinite, 2 minutes, works with. It's more like I equate it to like a scientific theory kind of movie where they're doing a lot of science experiments and a lot of testing in the moment, because it's all about something called the Drost effect, which is picture within picture within picture.
Right.
And so Beyond the Infinite, 2 minutes is all about this weird echo chamber that of time travel. And then this one is just, like I said, retaining knowledge, but then how to get themselves out of the situation. Yeah, it's the same thing, but very different at the same time. And that's sort of what's genius about it.
Which kind of works in with the storylines of what they're doing. It's literally
Yeah.
repeating the same thing, but just through a very different way.
Yeah.
Um, tonight's discussion after the announcements is going to be a really fun one. We decided we were going to talk about just the overall theater experience and
Mhm.
Blake has some experience in experiences. So we're going to discuss with that framework. We're going to talk about what we could be doing in the near future to enhance the theater experience, what theaters could do to make this better for a lot of us, discuss things like D-Box and 4DX and all this other stuff that they're trying. We're even going to talk about a filmmaker that I'm going to talk about now in my recent pickups, one Mr. William Castle. So I don't share a lot of my Vinegar Syndrome stuff because I feel like everybody's getting it, but I feel like I got this pretty quick this month. So this is the brand new cinematograph. This is Shanks, William Castle's last film, one that I've never seen. Definitely eager to check that one out. The other three here, I think, are the three from this month that I was most eager to check out and most eager to get. First, I've been dying for a good Blu-ray release of Murder Party since this movie came out. Jeremy Saulnier is one of my favorites, and to have this from a VS partner label is wild. If you've never seen this, this is definitely worth checking out. It's the guy that did Green Room, this year's Rebel Ridge. He did... Oh gosh, the other Netflix Turn of the Dark. That's not it. What am I thinking? I don't remember. Somebody will tell me in the comments. Next one, the found footage phenomenon. This is one that I've been wanting to see. It's co-directed by Phil Escott, who is a producer for Second Sight. He's the guy that owns Fractured Visions. And the cool thing, one of my dear friends, Mr. Sam Cohen, has an essay in this one. It's his first written essay, so kudos to Sam. Hold the Dark. Is that what I said? That's pretty damn close. I don't understand. I can't believe I remembered that. Hey, Kyle, thanks. And then finally, my last pickup I'll share, Corpse Mania. I am loving all the Hong Kong titles coming out of Vinegar Syndrome over the last couple of years. This is one that I've wanted in high quality for a very long time. I will be watching this one very, very soon. What about you, sir? What have you been... Blue Ruin. That's another great one from him. What have you been picking up lately? Because you get a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I do have Vinegar Syndrome on the way. So I got that one from Castle. It could show up today for all I know. Some of the hitters I got, like some big notable titles, because I did get there's been the recent Kino sale and the Shout Factory, Scream Factory sale, which you can get a lot of back titles and bulk, stuff like that. But some of the notables, like new releases, I'm excited to dig into this. The House of Doom set with Lindsay and Folsey. This is going to be a lot of fun in this one. Let's see. Got the Hollywood Hillside Strangler.
Oh, nice.
So
I did not go for the limited slip, but man, I need to pick up this release.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I heard from somebody in the Discord that it's a little bit different than what we're thinking, but that's a good thing. I think it was Adam H. So I'm interested to get into this one. Everybody's showing this one off. Good old Hitler.
Yeah, that's a big deal.
So this thing's a brick. And then
Omaha John's throwing shade at you. Says he already went through the Houses of Doom set, slacker.
Yeah, he would. And then another brick is this thing.
Oh, geez.
Which is from Umbrella, and this thing it's like the Super Mario set for those who have that thing. This thing is heavier than heavy.
Yours come damaged? Because I know a lot of people are upset with that.
No, this is pretty clean on all the corners and everything. Nice. So, and then a couple things from Arrow. Let's see, Trick or Treat. I've seen this thing a billion times, but excited to see it in 4K. And then the J Horror Rising set.
It's a big
excited about that thing. And then I guess lastly, which is an interesting title, but a lot of people are clamoring over it because I guess it was hard to get. I guess Future Cops.
Yeah, still as far as I saw, it was still in stock on Orbit.
Okay,
if you're looking after that, make sure you go to Orbit because it is out of print from Eureka. Let me make sure while we're talking, it is still in stock. Yeah, you can pick it up on Orbit right now.
It says it's like an absurd. I've never seen it, but it says it's like an absurdist, like Street Fighter 2.
Yep.
Kind of thing. So I'm all about it. So I'm definitely interested. So yeah, that's just a couple things on top of some bulk Kino, some bulk Scream Factory, stuff like that. Some back titles that are a lot of fun. Excited to dig into. So yeah.
Some recent watches for both of us. This week we watched in our house Women of the Hour, the brand new Anna Kendrick film for Netflix. It's about the dating game killer, the guy that killed a bunch of people and went on the dating game, and that
Oh,
led to
geez.
him eventually getting caught. It's
Okay.
her directing debut, and she kind of killed it. She did very well. She acted in
Huh.
it as well. Very, very happy that we watched it. I thought it was pretty well done. Both of the leads did an incredible job. She is great, obviously. She's usually pretty amazing, but the lead that played the killer, I mean, unsettling the entire time, but also charismatic, like you expect
Yeah.
somebody in a serial killer position to be.
Huh. Yeah, I've seen a couple people review that on Letterboxd. Looks interesting. And then I've heard of that scenario previously, like that character. So that'd be
Yeah.
cool to look into for sure.
Only other one I'll talk about is a nice bridge to yours because we both watched for tonight
Yeah.
Matinee. I watched the old Scream Factory Blu-ray, and this movie is just so damn good. It might be my
Mhm.
favorite Dante.
Yeah.
It is so fun, and I mean, Goodman is crazy good in it.
Yeah.
The scenarios are wild. It's like well, I was going to say modern day William Castle, but 1950 set William Castle,
Yeah.
and done in a way that is just the most huckster guy traveling from city to city that you can picture, trying to make every buck that he can. And that coupled with the nuclear bomb of it all,
Yeah.
of what was going on then, is such a perfect way to like set it in realism, but make it fun and interesting, and make it
Yeah.
like certain silly things that you could do with it. Um, yeah, it's a great film. If you've never seen Matinee, anybody that loves movies should watch Matinee.
Yeah.
It's absolutely that, just cut and dry.
It's like I equate it to like the B movie version of Cinema Paradiso.
Yep.
And I've seen Matinee countless times in my life, and I got the 4K of it. Oh, when it came out, I think it was about May, June, something like that. But
Yep.
I purposely sat on it for a while, and I just watched it this week again. And yeah, I loved every bit of it, and I love just revisiting it. And there's a lot of things that I noticed upon this round that I didn't notice before. And outside of just the typical John Goodman character, but like how Dante's sneaking in some stuff with the everyday life characters, especially to make it sort of like an Atomic B movie kind of thing. So yeah, I absolutely love that movie, and it definitely got better this week, even though it was already a 5-star film for me. So yeah, absolutely.
How'd the 4K on that one look?
It looks great. I mean, I would say that I'm a pretty easy judge compared to some others where I'm just like, oh, it looks great. But
Right.
yeah, it looks pretty fresh, pretty good.
Not to like pre-promote something, but I did want to shout out tonight. I posted it in the Discord earlier, but anybody that is in any way nerdy about visual aspects for films or anything, tomorrow's episode of the Deaf Crocodile podcast is maybe one of the most important things that you could listen to over this year. We had a special guest on to fully just dedicate almost the entire episode to film restoration, and we go through the individual software that they use. We talk about what they do on a day-to-day basis. We talk about the threat of AI. There's all kinds of stuff that people are going to love. It's not a super long episode, but it's one that you're going to probably want to even save and maybe listen to again. Lots of great information. Again, check it out tomorrow. Should be releasing about midday on the East Coast. Think you'll like it. But what else have you been watching?
Let's see. So this week, I did one good shout out. I watched Dead of Night by Bob Clark. Blue Underground just put that out a
Yep.
little bit ago, and I love that movie. And it's sort of wildly buried in between. Bob Clark's an interesting character. And yeah, obviously we know Black Christmas, and this is the movie that he did right before Black Christmas. But it's very interesting film that it's very simple in the sense that you don't really know a lot about the character, just that he's evil and apparently dead.
Right.
But you have this whole fascinating family drama going on, and that's sort of the hidden gem of this film. is you're just seeing the family dynamic and how it metaphors for probably a lot of realism with somebody who had somebody go away to war in Vietnam or just in general. So that movie is a lot more brilliant in a sense than just a standard horror film. Let's see here.
I think it's his second best film easily to Black Christmas.
Yeah. I mean, he only did really 3 horror movies because he did Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things, which I'll be honest, the beginning of that movie is a little bit of a drag. Actually, most of that movie is a little bit of a drag, but then the final part of it is like, crazy. And it makes up for the entire rest of the film. But yeah, Bob Clark's interesting that he did 3 movies in that genre and just said, all right, I'm going to do family stuff. And then he made Christmas Story, which is amazing in its own right. He made 2 of the best Christmas movies of all time, back to back, and they're polar opposites of each other. So yeah, Bob Clark. What's another? I'm trying to mix it up around Halloween season, hitting a bunch of different things. I did watch Dark Water, so I got a J horror in, and this one was from back in 2002. I saw the one that Jennifer Connelly did. That was like 2005, I believe. But this guy, he's the same guy who originally directed Ringu or Ring, the original Japanese. That one was pretty excellent as well. I think I might have seen snippets of it before, way back when it was first released. But that was definitely an excellent revisit. Nice. Just the perfect dynamic of how the Japanese create a horror movie that almost seems like it's steeped in like legend or like folklore, even though this is a movie that was like then set in a contemporary time, and even though it's centered on like a murder that happened only in 1999, and then they're figuring out the events in 2002. Right. But still, it feels like you're watching some parable folktale thing. So yeah, I definitely appreciated watching that one. What's another shout out? Because I've watched quite a few this week.
Of course.
Another one, which I think this one is a good novelty film, and I bet you it's flown over as probably a piece of crud by many people. But I watched Man's Best Friend last night, and this is John Lafia, who also he's the person who coined Chucky, the name Chucky. He worked with Don Mancini, and they wrote the first Child's Play, and then John directed Child's Play 2. But he created this movie that's a year behind Beethoven, the family film Beethoven. And it's about this evil dog that is almost like he's cybernetic. He's like a Terminator dog. And then he just goes around and just kills people. But the movie is so off kilter, and it doesn't know how to like tonally set its footing. Right. But it's so weird in retrospect that I bet you if plenty of people watch it now, it'd be a cult hit. At the time, it's panned. At the time, plenty of people say this is a garbage movie. But yeah, it was sort of brilliant. So yeah, I had a lot of fun with that one just because of the audacity of it. But yeah, I could go on forever because I watched a ton of movies. But yeah, that's just a selection. For sure.
On that note, if you are not following Blake on Letterboxd, he is linked in the description below, and he is an incredible follow on Letterboxd. He takes the time to research and write on every single thing that he watches. When I say write, I mean like 5+ paragraphs usually, and done in a way that will entice you to watch almost everything because he's a very positive person. So he's a great follow. He's one of those people that his reviews get so many likes that you start to get jealous. Definitely worth to follow him.
I appreciate it. Yeah, I'm definitely a bit on the positive spectrum, but I guess because rating films is speculative and it's subjective, so to each their own. Yeah. My mentality is I sort of grade it like people grade papers, like if I was a teacher, and I just live in a world where you can give a lot of A's. So it's just like, all right, this movie did its job in the moment, so that's sort of how I roll.
Speaking my language on a day that I had parent-teacher conferences for my kids.
Yep, exactly.
All right, let's get into some movies after I highlight John's comment because this
Yep.
is absolutely true. You watch movies to essentially like to watch movies.
Yep. Exactly.
All
So
right. We are starting with Imprint Asia. They announced during the show last week, since Sibiner and I were on for almost 5 hours last
yeah.
Thursday. These are all coming on January 8th on Blu ray in Australia. The first one, this is the erotic ghost story trilogy. They had revealed that this was coming. Again, hard box release, limited to 1,500 copies. They've got new special features on these. We've got new audio commentary from Ian Jane on the first one. New interview on the second one. Costume drama meets category 3. On the second one, we've got audio commentary by Caleb Waddell. New interview with art director Raymond Lee and art assistant Cyrus Ho. A new interview on that one as well. And then the third one, we got another new commentary from Waddell. New interview with the art assistant Cyrus Ho. This has been released. It's coming out from Shout Factory, now coming from Imprint. And I think 88 Films is doing it in December as well. Are you picking any of those up?
I'm interested in for sure because it's same director as Riccio. At least the first one is. I got to see if the same person did all three. I didn't look at that.
I don't believe they did.
Yeah, that makes sense. But yeah, the first film, same director's Riccio, and then Seventh Curse, which I love. Seventh Curse. It's one of the films I watched a few years ago that I was just like, this movie's off the wall. So yeah, for sure. I mean, probably the easiest access one is maybe like the Shout Factory one, but I mean, I'm all over the map, so I bounce between all regions. So who knows? Whatever one comes my way, in the best situation, is probably what I'll grab.
Next one from Imprint Asia is Zhuyu's Train. This is from 2002. This is a worldwide first time on Blu-ray. Gong Li is starring in this one, and the important thing, no bonus features on this film. Nothing at all.
Yeah, this one, I really didn't know a lot about it at all. I did look it up, and somebody equated it to like a Douglas Sirk kind of melodrama. So that's a good selling point, but that's the extent of my knowledge on it. But hey, I'll take that. So.
Well, and Gong Li's great, obviously. Final one from them is Yolo from 2024. Again, brand new, worldwide first on Blu-ray. This is the first release of it. And again, no bonus features whatsoever. And on a brand new movie, you would think they could have done anything to make it have some special features. I guarantee the director wants to talk about it at least.
Yeah, for sure. Imprint's an interesting company. I have a few of their stuff, but yeah, that's
totally get it. But if man, this is going to be a weird one to talk about. So we got coming on 4K and Blu-ray in the UK soon from Hammer Films themselves, Captain Kronos Vampire Hunter. This is coming for the first time anywhere on 4K. But what's crazy is this film is getting a 5-disc release, 2 4Ks, 3 Blu-rays, with the content duplicated across both formats. And when we were just talking about Imprint not having any special features, this has like literally anything you could possibly ask for on this release thrown on here. It looks like a great, solid, really nice physical media package, but this also is kind of like an under. It's like the not bottom tier. I'd say it's more like mid-tier Hammer Films, and the fact that they're putting this one out in a 5-disc release. I mean, they're going to do a lot.
They're going all in on this thing. This movie's interesting. Not gonna lie. Speaking about recent watches, I actually watched this movie yesterday.
Right.
And because I found it in like the Scream Factory version, just in the bundle of mini. And I hadn't seen this before. This one, it's weird. It's sort of like a square peg trying to fit in a round hole. But that's not necessarily a bad thing like it would usually be.
Right.
Because I could see this movie as sort of a template for a lot of the later on action narrative, like vampire or just crypto movies in general. Because this guy, he's very much like a swashbuckler, and he's going after fighting these vampires. And it's very dry in Hammer fashion, but once it starts going, it gets going. I could see a lot of fandom from the adventure fans getting in this one, so it's an interesting watch. I definitely recommend it, but yeah, for sure.
This one has probably been a good 10 or 12 years since I've watched this, but
Yeah,
I just like Paul said in the comments, there are so many other Hammer films I'd much rather
yeah,
see get this type of release first than this one. And I'm not saying at all that this means it's replacing those. This was probably just more recently restored, or somebody else had already
yeah,
started a restoration or something, and they said, "Ooh, I know what we can do to save some money." And now the hard part is this is going to come out and it's going to be a very expensive release. There's no
yeah,
way you release all of this without it costing probably more than $100 plus shipping. And the fact that they're doing this for a mid-tier Hammer, some of the
yeah.
bigger Hammer films are going to get even bigger releases than this probably. So in other words, if you love Hammer, get ready to open your wallet a lot because they're willing to go there.
Yeah, and you said it was Hammer directly doing this, so they probably
Yep.
live in a little bit of an echo chamber, probably saying, "Oh, we got all this," and they probably love it way more than the average person, even though
Yep.
there is a lot of fandom for this thing. So of course they're throwing it all in with this being sort of their first big release, and then so it's an experiment to throw out there. But
We'll
yeah,
see
I
what they
agree.
do next.
Yeah,
This thing will go up for pre-order on their website on Halloween, and then we'll find out more about the price and all that stuff. Yeah,
yeah,
Vampire Lovers is another one that definitely needs to be released for sure.
yeah, yeah,
Next is we got word from Second Sight that they are putting out The House of the Devil on Blu-ray here soon. This is one that I believe I called a couple months ago saying I think Second Sight will likely be putting this out soon. So I'm glad to see that come true. This is a great movie. I genuinely really like this one. I think I like this one more than most. How do you feel about this one?
I do need to see it. I'm lacking in some of my Ty West department because I've really only seen X and Pearl. So yeah, I know this is an early one, like '09, something like that. I think, right? Yeah,
Yeah. Oh nine or yeah. That's it's a really it's a weird one, but I think you'll like it. Greta Gerwig is great in it for like a couple minutes. This movie's great. I think people are gonna love it.
yeah, perfect. I mean, I'll definitely catch up for sure.
Next one, Kino announced that they are doing The Great Gatsby from 1949 on Blu-ray soon. This is from a 4K scan of the OCN, and it's probably the exact same release that Imprint did last
Yeah,
year. Uh, Interesting movie. Not my favorite Gatsby, but I think people that have never seen it are going to be happy with it. This is only the second HD release. Imprint had the first one. So I think if you've never seen it, it's a good one to check out.
yeah. I mean, I enjoy Alan Ladd in movies. I watched like the Glass Key a little while back. That's a good one. I sort of cracked up when I looked at this and it said it's also in the Dark Side of Cinema box set,
Yep.
whatever. And we're at the point where it's like, is there more box sets or Super Bowls? Like when you get to the like Roman numeral gibberish, and it's like, and you just sort of give up on counting it all, even though that's what 26. Yeah,
26. Yeah, this will also
geez.
be in the 26 film noir box from Kino. So they think this is enough for people to purchase standalone and want it in
Yeah,
the box set for others. So they must have a lot of faith in this one.
yeah. It's been a while. Is Gatsby and Noir? I don't know. They're just sort of throwing anything in there. So
Ish.
maybe. All right. It's been a while.
It's
So
just Alan Ladd, so it must be a noir.
yeah, there you go. That works.
Next one, Kino is also putting out Shout at the Devil from 1976. This is coming on December 17th. We have a new audio commentary by Lee Marvin biographer Dwayne Epstein and Steve Mitchell accompanying him. This is a good looking cover. I'll definitely say
Yeah,
that.
yeah. This is definitely a film that I would probably get in the Kino set. For sure.
Yes, it
When
is
it's
that
going
type of
through.
film for sure.
Yeah, it looks interesting. It's the same director as in Her Majesty's Secret Service, I think, right? Yeah.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, it's James Bond. But it's the one with Lazenby, so everybody sort of forgets that one.
Right.
But yeah, it looks interesting. Lee Marvin's a good time. So yeah, for sure.
Loving these comments. Kino should start advertising Roman numerals as a feature.
Yeah,
Blake Yolo.
exactly.
They also announced Hyperspace coming on 3D Blu-ray. This is from 1984. This was starring Chris Elliott and Paula Poundstone, shot by Earl Dixon, directed by Todd Durham. And it says this special edition release also includes the 1984 3D short film The Fright Before Christmas that a lot of people have been after. So this looks to be a pretty great, like, comprehensive disc.
Yeah.
Anything the 3D Film Archive touches is like really high quality. Definitely suggest people check this out.
Yeah, I watched a little trailer of this because I didn't know much about it. I watched a little trailer and it looks dumb, but it looks dumb fun. So it's definitely up my alley. It reminded me of MVD put out Hardware Wars earlier this year, which I definitely recommend that as well because that's just a lot of fun. So this is the same vein for sure, and yeah, definitely worth your time.
Yep, definitely one that if you are into Star Wars, you're going to want to watch this.
Yeah.
All right, going to our next one, which is a big deal, November 26th, but also if you order from their website, it's shipping now. Media Blasters is releasing a 4K and Blu-ray release of Futo, The New Generation from 1996. This is not only Media Blasters' first 4K release ever, this is the first Takashi Miike film on 4K ever.
Really?
Which is super surprising that this is the first one. I would have thought that some of the others may have made the jump first, but either way, I'm glad this is coming. We got brand new 4K restoration on this, some audio commentaries, video interviews with Miike, and the actor Shosuke Tanihara. And there is a site-exclusive version with a slipcover if you want, but you can also get it on Amazon.
Yeah, you would have thought Arrow would have jumped on something and put out a 4K of like Audition or something like that, or Ichi the Killer, or I don't know who has the rights to that one, but that for sure is some of the more mainstay ones. I've never seen this one by him, but I've seen quite a few of his mainstay ones. This one definitely looks interesting for sure. I watched a trailer of it.
I've not seen this one either. I'm interested in checking it.
Yeah, a lot of people on Letterboxd said that it's really trashy, which I mean that's like half his films, but they said, but it's in a good sense trashy. So
yep, that's Miike.
Yep.
Next is VCI putting out 2 Poverty Row films on one disc. We got King of the Zombies from 1941 and Miss V from Moscow from 1942. Is VCI. So first of all, keep that in mind. But the other thing, like, yes, I understand these are attached by Poverty Row. These films aren't really anything like each other.
Yeah.
And both of these movies are on YouTube in decent quality. This is a really odd choice, unless they have a new restoration and they're not advertising that. But even then, again, really weird double feature.
Yeah, it's probably like King of the Zombies probably has more of a draw, and they probably were sitting on the other one and just said, let's just throw it in there.
Yeah, something like that. They must have had the ability to do it. I don't know. Anyways, you can check that out. This is coming January 21st on Blu-ray from VCI.
Yeah, real quick on King of Zombies. The director's interesting. I watched Hillbillies in a Haunted House the other day. That's from the same guy. So it's going to be schlocky, and anything from Poverty Row, is. But yeah, it'll be fun for the enthusiasts for sure.
I love it. Jim on Facebook says, quote, classics.
Yeah.
Silent Mandible says, is there a Mr. V? I mean, technically, I guess I guess.
Yeah.
2 Poverty Row picks on one disc from VCI. That's 3 bad signs in one sentence. I couldn't have said it better myself.
Yeah.
Although I believe these are both fairly short movies, like an hour-ish.
Yeah. I'm sure they are.
Next, coming soon on 4K Steelbook in the UK and likely the US and everywhere else right around the same time.
Yeah.
From Warner Brothers, Constantine from 2005. This will be a big 20th anniversary release. This is going to be having a rigid slipcase, a steelbook, double-sided posters, art cards. They say on-disc special features to be confirmed. I hope. I mean, like, Keanu loves this movie. I'm sure he would have loved to talk about it. We'll see if we get anything. But the thing that I'm going to bring up again, Warner Brothers doing this whole, we're going to make you pre-order something without knowing the artwork, without knowing when it's going to ship. And that is such a dirty way to do this in 2024. Just get your shit together and then put it up for pre-order like everyone else.
Yeah, they need to get on Hammer's level with the 5-disc Captain Kronos. So yeah. Oh, Constantine's a good time. I remember seeing it way back when. I've seen this thing so many times, owned multiple copies of it. I for sure enjoy this film and will definitely upgrade for sure.
Great
It's
movie.
a fun time. Yeah. I don't know about the comic book enthusiasts, and he's definitely sort of strayed from the character a little bit, but I it's fine for me. I enjoy it quite a bit, so it's a lot of fun.
And the other thing, like if the restoration is done right, this with HDR could look very good.
Yeah. This thing's a blast.
Sibner says they've already confirmed Constantine 2, so just wait to build on the hype. Was that confirmed? I thought it was just semi-rumored and like Keanu trying to get it. Interesting. I didn't know it was confirmed.
Huh. They gonna bring everybody back? Are they gonna tie down Shia LaBeouf?
This is pointless now because you can't use it, but the Criterion Collection had their fall flash sale like they always do. Usually it would have been the previous week, but the flash sale day would have landed on the new announcement day, so they delayed it a week to do this. Did you get anything in this one?
Gummo, Happiness, real quick. I can wait until the Barnes sale, but I think it's good for what it is. A lot of people are sitting on their coupons,
Right.
and so it's a good time to use it. And I get that Criterion sort of wants to get their own piece of action before Barnes and Noble probably takes a chunk of it. So it totally makes sense with the sale. I just sort of got in and got out.
Yeah.
So
Eric got the Before trilogy. Good job. That's a masterpiece.
I still got plenty from this summer sale that I gotta watch. So it's like I can wait a little bit.
Yep. Stan on Constantine says nothing is ever confirmed. Just ask Joaquin Phoenix.
Yeah.
True shade.
Yeah.
Mondo Macabro's Halloween sale is currently live. This is live until October 27th. The pre-orders that are available as well are Cafe Flesh on 4K, Bohachi Bushido on 4K, The Girl Slaves of Morgana Le Fay on 4K, and The Punishment. You can still pre-order all four of those as far as I know. However, this has done so well for Mondo Macabro that Cafe Flesh is almost sold out already. Jared, if you listen to the Mondo Macabro podcast episode that went up earlier this week, he said that this should be available for a month or so at the very least, and it looks like Cafe Flesh will likely sell out tonight or tomorrow morning.
Yeah, I mean, I loved Dr. Caligari, and so I was obviously Cafe Flesh right off the bat. I'm sold on that whole crazy, wonky, all the above. So yeah, I got a few things from this. I'm one of the sections of my collection that I definitely need to catch up to speed on is Mondo Macabro. So I definitely put a little bit of a dent, not crazy, but I definitely want to catch up to speed with them. So I grabbed a couple from this one. So I got like, what'd I get? Killer Dolls. I guess a lot of people were talking about that one. And Blood Spattered Bride. And Beast of the Magic Sword looked crazy.
Yep.
So yeah, it'll be a fun time. So for sure.
We got a question here from Sibner. He says, Ryan, did they confirm how many copies were done? Yes, they did for all of the titles. Bohachi Bushido and Cafe Flesh were both 2,000 copies. And I believe Morgana Le Fay and The Punishment were both 1,500. I may be wrong on Morgana Le Fay, but it is on the site. Let me see if I can look that up before I say the wrong thing. It is... 2,000 copies. So I was wrong. Yeah, Morgana Le Fay also 2,000 copies. But the big thing, all of these will have standard copies. If you don't want, the booklet or the slipcover or anything like that, just wait. It'll be back in stock for the retail edition. It'll likely not be in stock until like April or May. So as long as you have no problem waiting, you'll still be able to get them. Don't worry.
Yeah.
This is, like I said, available till the 27th. Check it out. And if you want Cafe Flesh, sooner than later. Although keep in mind, The brand new 4 titles are not shipping until January, so if you want sale titles as well, you might want to do 2 orders.
Yeah, that makes sense. I'm good. I got plenty to watch, but yeah, I threw it all in one pile, but I'm good. It'll be a good surprise a couple months from now.
And agree with Jim, Mondo Rules, they speak to my taste almost exactly.
Yeah, definitely a lot of fun. I'm definitely happy that I'm catching up to speed with them.
Next one is another piece of important news. This is just kind of a reminder that Something Weird Video is shutting down the downloads and the DVD-Rs that they've been selling from their websites. You can only get that until Halloween, which means you only got one more week as of the time of this recording. The website is not going away. Something Weird is not going away. It's just the DVD-Rs and the downloads. They're still going to be doing like restorations with other companies, still going to be selling some of those Blu-ray discs and all that. Just the DVD-Rs and the downloads are going away. Lisa will always be a part of this, I'm sure. The big thing is they weren't selling very many. So they said, why are we keeping this available and making it a headache for us? So they're just cutting this out. But they announced it very far in advance so that everybody could have a chance to get what they wanted. It's a great deal. If you want your stuff, get in there and do it. However, you only have a week left.
Yeah. I wandered around in there, looked at it. It was fun stuff. I have a lot of their stuff on physical media, but yeah, I appreciate the work that they're doing. And yeah, for sure, there's a lot of weird, crazy stuff there. So,
it's true. There's a lot of weird things, as they say.
Yeah.
The big thing is their partnerships are amazing. I mean, the stuff they do with AGFA, the Kino discs that they've got, they've worked with a handful of others. It's great.
Yeah, I got a whole pile of those Kino, like the drug scare films and all those that someday it's a project of mine to like watch them all in order. So there's like 13 editions of them sitting there, but who knows? But yeah.
Well, now I think they're up to 17 or 18. So good luck.
I know. I'm missing a few, but yeah, for sure.
All right. Next up, I put a new interview up on the channel with Eugenio Ercolani. He is the on-the-ground producer who goes between Rome and London and helps like every company out there, basically. He is one of the most knowledgeable people in physical media, and I'm really happy with this conversation. I hope people check it out. We get into some like existential stuff about his purpose in life and talk about how much he's contributed to over the last year and what makes him happy. And it's great to see somebody that is truly passionate about all of these films like we all are.
Yeah, definitely.
Going to our next one. I'm stoked this is getting released. November 19th, Fraggle Rock Back to the Rock Season 1 is getting a physical media release from Sony Pictures. Kind of surprising. This was a streaming only title, and now here it is. This season had a lot of like special guests. We've got David Diggs that was on it, Ed Helms, Patti LaBelle, Kenan Thompson, Cynthia Erivo, the Foo Fighters, but I know that they're looked down on at the moment. Anyways, Fraggle Rock Back to the Rock. I mean, it's a Henson thing. Everybody should love it. It's amazing.
Yeah, and it's good to see stuff like this get physical release because it's sort of in the streaming only land. At least that's what people would pragmatically think prior, where it's sort of set it and then forget it kind of thing. Obviously, I haven't seen this one. I've seen obviously the original show plenty of times.
Right.
But yeah, definitely it'd be an interesting watch to see. But yeah, I like this is a good sign in general that a lot of the stuff that would just be a quick gimmick and then thrown out the window is definitely being put out there.
Agreed there. Never Let Go. This is the newest Halle Berry film. This was directed by Alexandre Aja. This is coming on Blu-ray and DVD from Lionsgate on December 3rd. No word on special features yet, but it's Lionsgate, so I really wouldn't expect very much. Their new stuff, they don't put a lot into, unfortunately, but I've heard really good things about this one. Did you go see this one?
No, I haven't. Was it primarily on streaming or was it? I don't know.
I feel like this was a theatrical release, but I'm not sure.
Oh, was it? Okay. No, I have. I'm a little rusty on some of these, but yeah, I mean, I know the director obviously from the French Extremity stuff. I've seen that plenty of times. What's it called? It's leaving my mind at the sec.
High Tension.
High Tension. Yeah, I've seen that plenty of times. But yeah, it looks interesting. It's one that maybe I would run into randomly. Oh, I guess it's a Netflix.
Yeah, Ronnie
that's what I
says it's a
thought.
Netflix movie.
So I guess the same going with Fraggle Rock there is, you know what? I'm glad that this has got a physical format for the one person out there that definitely wants it. So, for sure.
Next up is White Bird. This is from this year, also coming on Blu-ray and DVD on December 3rd from Lionsgate. This is with Helen Mirren, and this is from the same person that wrote Wonder, the book Wonder. Supposed to be like a inspirational story. I've somehow heard that this is pretty good too.
Huh. I think I remember Wonder. That was a movie. Julia Roberts was in that thing, I think. It's been a while.
It was Zach Braff, I know that.
Yeah, and it was like a heartwarming film about a kid has physical deformity, and then they're talking about the power of I forget, but yeah, I think I remember that being a decent film. It's been a while, so yeah, this looks interesting.
Sure. Sibner says it's a prequel to Wonder.
Oh, okay.
I didn't realize they were connected. That's interesting.
Huh. Yeah.
Alrighty. Next, Dark Side Releasing is putting out. Well, you can purchase it now. Actually, it's out now. Blu-ray for Dead Name from 2024. This is a movie that is directed by Warren Badensky, and it's got an audio commentary on it, and Sympathy's Fall of Ruin music video, some interviews with the cast and crew. Looks like a fairly indie horror.
This is not a prequel to Wonder.
Probably not. I mean, no. Especially not with this cover.
Yeah. Huh. Yeah, I've never heard of that company. Yeah.
Kino putting out Mr. Monk's Last Case, a Monk movie. This is coming on December 17th. The extras gets an internet and TV spot, and that's it. I'm kind of surprised they didn't do anything for this at all. Like, get Tony Shalhoub to comment on his long career on this show.
Yeah. If there's one thing that Kino's doing, it's the dark side of film noir and Monk seasons.
This should be the end of it, I think.
Yeah, but I'm glad to see it. I've enjoyed Monk like the next person on syndicated television, and so I haven't been a crazy fan, but I enjoy it for what it is. I randomly saw Tony Shalhoub in an airport once, but that's it.
Yet another streaming movie that is coming to physical as well.
Yeah. Good to see it.
Next is The Killer is Loose. Speaking of good Kino art, this one is great.
Yeah.
December 17th, this is coming on Blu-ray. This is from 1956, starring Joseph Cotten, directed by the one and only Bud Bedecker. And we got a commentary on here by Gary Garani and a trailer. This is like an exact what we were saying earlier. This is when there's a Kino sale, I am picking this up.
Yeah, for sure. I'm definitely interested. I am sitting on Budecker's his Western set from Criterion, and part of me is crazy in the sense that I have intentions to watch an entire box set from front to back, and that's the only reason why I haven't gotten to it yet. Even though it's 4 films and they're not that long, but I need to just sit down and watch that thing. But yeah, I know that just like I would love those films, I'm gonna love this film because there's just a sense of how he makes films, and like they're sort of little gritty B kind of movies, but they're fun in their novelty kind of sense.
Right.
So yeah, I'm all about this one.
Indeed. Next one, December 17th. Umbrella is giving Terrifier. This is such a crazy release. They are doing a box set with so much we're going to get into. First thing is where do they get into the details here? This comprehensive set includes Terrifier, Terrifier 2, and Terrifier 3 on 4K, and the anthology prequel film All Hallows Eve. So you get everything Art the Clown possible, all coming in this box set. This is the first time anywhere in the world that the first film has been on 4K. So if you are 4K ride or die, this is finally the one for you. There was a Steelbook announced in the UK, but it got delayed and then delayed again, and it might be coming next year, or who knows. But this is already, I think, the 4th or 5th release I've talked about for Terrifier.
Yeah.
So I do want to say to everybody, this is going to be the most exploited title and series in physical media in modern horror for the next handful of years. This is going to be the big one. This set has, like I said, all the films 4K, and then the anthology prequel on Blu-ray, and the exclusive version from the Umbrella store has an 180 piece brick set. They can't call them Legos because they're off-brand Legos.
Yeah.
They've got,
Mega Blocks.
there you go, Terrifier 3 VHS, 250 plus page book, behind the scenes experiences, and art with written content from a handful of people. Custom artwork rigid slipcase, Art's Christmas sunglasses, 12 art cards, 2 reversible posters, and then it is their limited edition numbered release. This has everything you could possibly want. There are exclusive features for Terrifier 3, so if you really love this movie, this might be the release to get because nobody else is going to have those bonus features. This is a crazy release, and I got to be honest, I talk about bad pricing a lot on here. The fact that this comes out to only, I think, $135 US before shipping. Like, if you buy anything else for $5, you get free shipping. But $135 for this entire bundle is kind of a pretty great price.
Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be like, what was it, that Collegio said? This brick times 3. Huge.
The crazy thing, though, they've already announced a 4th film. So for me, I would never buy this box set because I know there's more coming, and they've even hinted there might be a 5th one. So, I mean, do you want to go all in and buy a box set every time? Do you want to, get the exclusives and sell the box set of the movies and buy the next box set? Who knows? I'm not going to tell you either way, but this is wild. Like, there are so many people in the mainstream world that love Terrifier right now. They're buying this just because it's the best looking release of Terrifier. They're going to sell a metric shit ton of these.
Yeah, but they need to pull a Charles Band and like Full Moon, and then like they give you like the Evil Bong box set, but then they say, hey, look, there's like 90 of these coming. And so they leave like this whole cardboard like half empty so you can put your additional Evil Bong movies in there. That's what they need to do. It's just, geez. Yeah, this movie is the movie that will never quit. I'm all for people who enjoy it. I like it to a degree. I've seen the first one and the second one once a piece. I still need to see that the first one that's like an anthology. It gets a little taxing after a while. I definitely like the gore and the physical effects. I think it's a celebration of that. Do I think it's in its head a little bit too much? Yeah, probably, for sure.
It's up something a little too much.
Yeah, it is. It's definitely huffing a little bit too much of its own fumes. But there's gonna be some people that love the movies, and it's all for it. So. Yeah, I'm not opposed to rewatching as well. So I don't hate them. It's just I'm not crazy. So
yeah, I literally the exact same feelings. I do not hate them. I certainly don't love them. I have never once had a desire to go throw on a Terrifier film.
Yeah.
I'm very happy that they have made practical effects an important part of the series.
Yeah.
I'm also very happy that basically a tiny budget Christmas set, really gruesome horror slasher, it was the top film at the box office for a weekend. That sends a lot of shockwaves through the industry. As many people don't think that's a big deal, it truly is. I'm stoked for Damien Leone. I just don't really care about the movies all that much.
Yeah, I mean it's its own celebration. I'll never really put it down. Yeah, like I said, I think it's huffing a little bit too much of its own fumes, but I enjoy it at the end of the day for what it is.
What's crazy is if this isn't enough Terrifier for you, Umbrella has shirts for pre-order right now. They have art wrapping paper. They even have a shirt that they're not revealing the design, saying it's too gruesome. And one of the like subtitle for it says, "Who would even wear this seriously?" But that's crazy to me that you can pre-order it without even knowing the design. I love that Umbrella's doing it. They are all in on it. I think that this is going to be, if you love Terrifier, your favorite release, probably.
Well, and it fits in with the theme of like it's film as an event.
Right.
So, and definitely that might pop up later on. But, more power to it for what it's doing.
All right. Next up, Celluloid Dreams has announced their next title that's coming out on 4K, and that is Short Night of Glass Dolls from 1971. This is a giallo film that was previously released by Twilight Time, has been out of print for some time, but it's also not that out of reach. I know a lot of Twilight Time films have exploded in value and you can't find them for like less than $120. This
Really?
one is
Huh.
still pretty gettable. However, it was a decent Blu-ray release. I was hoping for a little more obscure from them, like when they announced Black Belly the Tarantula. That was the kind of obscure I was really hoping for. This is fine. It's a good movie. I'm
Mhm.
glad that it's coming, and we'll probably get a gorgeous 4K release that's, some big 3 or 4 disc release with art cards the size of surfboards, and everybody will be
Yeah.
super happy.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I still have a case of the Bloody Iris I got to get to, but yeah, I definitely appreciate it for sure.
If you are easy on 4K transfers, I will say that is genuinely one of the best 4K transfers of the last 2 years.
Perfect.
It
Yeah,
is
the dinner
gorgeous.
size, the dinner plates that they brought with it too. But that's appreciated. Somebody's gonna frame those and
Yeah.
put them up or something. So yeah, definitely, I'm all for it.
Silent Mandible says Glass Night of Short Dolls was better.
Yeah.
I love all of these random puns about Terrifier releases that we could get, like Art's European Vacation, Art in Space.
Oh, that'd be great. Yeah,
Uh,
just make them like National Lampoon tie-overs. Yeah,
Art meets Winnie the Pooh.
yeah. I mean, just make them till the end of time. If that's the shock that the film industry needs to keep going in 30 years time, and it's only Art the Clown movies, well,
David Howard Thornton will be not. He'll just his face will be stuck like Terrifier.
yeah, yeah. Oh, jeez.
Terrifier 4 Tokyo Drift. Look at that.
Oh my god. All that.
Eureka put out a couple announcements today. First one is Running on Karma. This is coming from their Masters of Cinema line on Blu-ray on January 27th. But the cool thing, this is available in the UK and North America. Glad that they are still taking advantage of what they're doing in the US and Canada. This one is directed by Johnny To, a
Mhm.
name that many people that have been in physical media for the last couple of years will recognize. Once again, limited to 2,000 copies. It's got a slipcover on it. It's got the new audio commentary by Frank Jang and F.J. DeSanto on this. New interview with Gary Bettinson, the editor-in-chief of Asian Cinema Journal. Some archival making of featurettes and trailers, and a collector's booklet with new essay by David West. I've not seen this one, but Johnny To is a hell of a good filmmaker.
Yeah, yeah. Throwdown's a good time. Yeah, it looks interesting. It looks like a newer movie. Like I said, I haven't seen it either, but yeah, it looks interesting for sure.
And in the Discord earlier, Craig Craig says, "Man, that guy is yoked or whatever he said, buffed something." Yeah, this guy is ripped. The muscles on this guy are crazy.
Yeah.
But the bigger deal from Eureka, over in the UK, they are getting not Akira, Kiyoshi Kurosawa's Cure from 1997 coming on 4K. This is also still part of their Masters of Cinema line since this has been released by them previously. And this has archival interviews with Kiyoshi. And then Kim Newman on Cure, interview with the critic and author Kim Newman, a collector's booklet with essays on Cure by Tom Mess. This movie will look beautiful. Swole, that's the word you used. Cure will look beautiful on 4K, guaranteed. Glad this is coming out. Slip on this looks great. It's Cure.
Yeah, that's probably a precursor that it's coming 4K out on this side of things as well.
Criterion will definitely release it on 4K.
Yeah, great film. Everybody who's seen Cure probably agrees that the film's excellent. It's been a bit, but definitely I want to revisit this thing. It's definitely a gritty. I was looking back at my review of it because I'm sort of fuzzy on it because it's been a couple years, but somehow I put the equation of Seven meets Stalker, like Tarkovsky's Stalker, and so that just like reinvigorated in my brain again that I definitely want to rewatch Cure. But yeah, I just remember loving this thing when I watched it.
I am the lone outcast idiot. I will say I've watched this once, and it did nothing for me. I really need to see it again. I feel like I just went into it on a bad day, and I'll probably love it on the second watch. But man, I don't get the hype for this movie at all.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a while. Like I said, I'm fuzzy, but I just remember in the moment, it's very atmospheric. So I definitely agree. Like if you walk into it on an off day and you're not like, not to say you're not fully engaged or, whatever is off just slightly a degree, I
Right.
totally can see that happening. But yeah, I mean, just full buy-in, this movie's nuts. So
Yeah, I feel like this is one that you got to watch in a dark room, no phones, nobody else around other than, somebody else silent on the couch. This is definitely one that you got to be all in on.
yeah, for sure.
Uh, Sibner, Shawshank is a classic. I get it. It's just overrated. That's okay. Then the third wave of Disney Steelbooks got announced today, and we got some weird things happening here. First off, all these come out on December 3rd. The press release for these doesn't say anything about Blu-ray this time. So all I see is that these are coming out on 4K, not on Blu-ray potentially, but also it's Disney. They could change their mind in the middle of the night and do the same thing. These should all go up for pre-order by the end of next week everywhere. These are not exclusives anywhere. And all of these releases are 200 gig discs, and they all have Dolby Vision and HDR10, which is a great sign for Disney because they were not embracing Dolby Vision for the longest time.
Yeah, I think Disney is smelling some of the coffee that they need to get back into physical media a little bit. They're so all over the map and temperamental in their thoughts and stuff like that. But yeah,
we're going to talk about Disney later, right, Blake?
Yeah.
So this first one is The Mandalorian, the complete third season. Now, a lot of people complaining because they announced this. They did not announce the Book of Boba Fett, which should have been the next one to come out in this saga. But here we are. Sibner, remember when Disney said they would never put out a 4K again? No, but I remember when a YouTuber who has no idea what he's talking about made the internet think that was the case. Ronnie says, I'm dying for an Agatha All Along physical release. I hope they get to all of them eventually. I mean, for people that love Marvel stuff, which I've never hated Marvel stuff. Sure, I don't love the current wave, but if you love Marvel, release them all.
Yeah, just ebbs and flows and saturation. But yeah, there's a lot of good merit there for sure. And I want to see the fans get their physical copies.
Exactly. So that is season 3 of The Mandalorian. There's going to be some bonus features on here as well. There's a tribute to Carl Weathers, the creatures and droids of The Mandalorian, and then some Forging the Covert Part 3. Jon Favreau and a couple other of the filmmakers explore the expanding world of season 3's Mandalorian warriors. Then the next Star Wars one they announced is Ahsoka, the complete first season. This is going to have some bonus features as well, joining the cast and crew for a look at their developing live-action series, exploring the dynamic of Anakin Skywalker and Ahsoka within the world, go deep with a spotlight on Ahsoka's allies, and then uncover the secrets of Ahsoka's foes. Third one is the first Marvel one of this one. We got Hawkeye, the complete first season. This has all kinds of deleted scenes on here, plus a gag reel, Tale of Two Hawkeyes featurette, and then the making of Hawkeye. And finally, we are also getting Loki, the complete second season. This is the only one, by the way, that will be in a 2.2 to 1 aspect ratio rather than 2.39 to 1 like the others. This will have, again, some deleted scenes, assembled the making of, a gag reel, and all that stuff. You gonna pick any of these up?
I don't know. Maybe in the distant future. I'm so I've actually never seen an episode of Mandalorian, which is crazy because I've heard a lot of good things about it. I've seen a little bit of Loki. Eventually, I might get there. I'm so backlogged and doing all kinds of crazy old cult films that maybe in the future I'll get there again. But yeah, we'll see. I'm not against them.
Let's see. Jack Black and Lizzo included. They need people to catch up on The Mandalorian for the movie. True. Yeah, definitely not releasing in Australia because there's no more Disney in Australia. Then just got a few more left. We're already almost done with the announcements, which is wild. November 19th, Magnolia is releasing Yoshiki Under the Sky. This is from 2023 and is a music documentary featuring the world-renowned rock star and composer leading a global concert featuring today's top musical artists like the Chainsmokers, St. Vincent, and more. Yeah, not many things released like this. This is pretty cool that this is getting a release.
It was like a good concert on Blu-ray. It's always a good time. So that's all I got on that one.
Same. Next, Mill Creek doing their next Ultraman thing. I believe these were web series and did not get released elsewhere. December 10th, there is a Blu-ray coming of Ultra Galaxy Fight Series 1 through 3 and Ultraman Regulos First Mission. Supposedly, these are really high quality. And if you love Ultraman, Mill Creek has been killing it over the last, at this point, we're talking like 5 years for what they've done for Ultraman. So check it out.
You know, Mill Creek, I mean, they're fine for being some of the bargain bin kind of stuff, but I enjoyed when I get a title from them once. So I'm very lacking in the Ultraman department, but yeah, I enjoy like their little retro VHS cover stuff like that. It's always a good time to come across some random old movie from them.
And they look great on Blu-ray too, I will say.
Yeah, they're good for their value, for sure.
And then I think we got 2 more left. December 8th on 4K Blu-ray and DVD from Loma Vista Recordings, Ghost, right here, right now. This is for the band Ghost. It is a film plus bonus content. We got Q&As with some of the band and some others. The Future is a Foreign Land animated music video, and the webisode series, chapters 1 through 28. Not a lot of bands doing releases like this, which is why I wanted to make sure that we highlighted it. I know a lot of friends who love Ghost. My mom saw Ghost live, but this is pretty cool if you're a fan of Ghost.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. I think we have one. Yep, last one. I didn't know this existed until today. Fabulous Films over in the UK is releasing Taken, the complete series, on December 9th on Blu-ray. This is from 2017 to 2019. It has 2 seasons that it did. And they made a Taken TV show, and it's based on Liam Neeson's character, who is younger than his actual character. Otherwise, they would have to shoot this in 9,000 takes like they did the films.
Yeah. I've never heard of this show. I mean, I've heard of the movie, but I didn't know either that this existed. But more power to the people who enjoy it, for sure.
That is it. I just saw on the top that said from producer Luc Besson. That's weird.
That seems like it's his speed.
Yeah, I can see that. As a reminder for what we are releasing next week, just in case you forgot, Zodiac on 4K, Trick or Treat 4K, like Blake already showed us, Drag Me to Hell 4K from Scream, Addams Family Values 4K. We got that Caligula set coming from that one company that I'm not going to name anymore. J-Horror Rising from Arrow, Shocker 4K from Scream Factory, Dr. Seuss's How the Grinch Stole Christmas 4K, lots of 4K releases. The Dai Gothic set from Radiance that I got to get my hands on. I need that box set for sure. Warner Archives, The Walking Dead, and The Return of Dr. X, the classic Ghost from Kino. That's definitely one I wanted. All of the standard releases from Vinegar Syndrome for this month, and a couple from Severin look like they're getting their retail street date next week. The Beast with 5 Fingers from Warner Archive. El Vampiro, 2 blood-sucking tales from Mexico from Indicator. Let's see. Dagra Magra from Radiance, which is supposed to be great. Laurel and Hardy Year 2 from Flicker Alley. Film Noir, The Dark Side of Cinema 22. Perfect timing.
Yeah.
Top Copy from Kino Lorber. For your consideration from Warner Archive. Man, this is a big week.
Yeah.
Any of these so far catching your eye?
Oh, I mean, I love For Your Consideration. Any Christopher Guest movie, I love those movies.
Absolutely.
Trying to think what I mean. A lot of them I see like a lot of the Vinegar Syndrome Severed stuff that I already have, and then the Arrow ones that I have. But it looks like there's. I mean, Shocker was a cool one. I'll upgrade that one when it goes on sale. I have a slew of Radiance things coming my way, and I might have Dogger Magra in there.
Nice.
So I have to see what's in that chunk. But yeah, there's some good stuff coming out for sure.
Jeff says Blake has never said anything bad about her release. Is that true, Blake?
That's
not true. Ask about that one MVD Rewind title, and Blake will slam it to hell.
Oh, what was that thing? Oh, like the last VHS or the first VCR or something like that?
No. That's
but that one.
That was Enjoy the Ride. MVD Rewind. It was.
Oh, Hail Caesar.
Hail Caesar, that's the one.
Oh, that thing is AI'd to
So bad.
it's actually so much of a travesty that it was sort of like a brain melt watching it. Like they could have like promoted that it's so bad on the cover, like, hey, you want to watch the worst Blu-ray ever made? Watch this thing. So, yeah.
Some I've not named yet. We should finish these real quick. Sorry. Baby Blood 4K from Kino. Deadly Circuit 4K, or not 4K, just Blu-ray from Kino. DD is coming as well. Man Called Shenandoah from Warner Archive. Enough Rope from Kino. Sweethearts from Warner Archive. Crackoon, if you were after that one. The Heidi Ho and the Boarding House Blues from Kino is also on the way. The Falling Star from Kino. That's a lot of Kino in 1 week. All right.
Yeah.
All right. Go ahead.
Oh, that Texas Chainsaw looks. I mean, there's a trillion of them, but I saw pictures online and somebody had it, and it's like a full size physical chainsaw. It doesn't provoke me to get it because I got the second sight one. But
well, it also must not have sold well because it was only listed on the Dark Sky website, and now it's on Amazon. And it was 300 on the Dark Sky site. It is 400 on Amazon.
I think plenty of people will get it. Plenty of enthusiasts. The same people buying Umbrella Terrifier sets are going to buy Terrifier sets are going to buy Texas Chainsaw Massacre sets. So
yeah, this is a big week. I'm really stoked to hear about how Zodiac looks on 4K. I'm worried about that. It's my favorite Fincher. I hope it looks good. Addams Family Values, obviously a great film too. Definitely want that on 4K eventually. My big shout out though is J-Horror Rising. If you have never seen Noroi the Curse, definitely consider checking out this box set. Look at that. The art looks great in person, man.
Yeah.
I think if you've never seen Noroi the Curse, you are going to love that film. It is so creepy.
The just parallel back to Zodiac. I love Zodiac. I wonder, does that set have the director's cut in it, or is it just theatrical? That's the only thing that I'm sort of. Yeah, that's the only thing I'm sort of like about, because I love that movie.
Right. It's, I mean, literally my favorite Fincher. It's
a
lot. I don't know what's going on, but yeah, it seems like we're not going to get a lot of these cuts. And from what I hear, I mean, it's supposedly a legal thing where some of the actors that appear in scenes that did not sign off on this to be released, it's too much of a legal ongoing thing to go get permission from everybody to have it released. So in fear of being sued by somebody, they are not going to put it out. That, and there's potentially other music cues that were in there that they don't have the rights to necessarily.
Jeez. Yeah, it makes sense. I get it, because I've seen like stuff like, you know, Severin tries to put out a movie, and then like every little, you know, song from a Severin title, and they got to put like Mardi Gras Massacre. I remember that fiasco. And then, you know, it totally makes sense in retrospect. It's something that, just being an average movie watcher, I would have flown over previously and just would have sat there disgruntled, like, why am I not getting this version?
Right.
But yeah, in retrospect, sort of being slightly more connected at the hip with stuff, yeah, it totally makes sense.
We didn't talk about that, that we were going to discuss that, but just a inside baseball thing. Blake lives close to the Severn warehouse, so sometimes, like after the big sales or a super big pre-order event, Blake goes and helps with the shipping, and then they pay him in releases. What's your experience been like with those?
Oh, it's a lot of fun. You know, it's hard work for sure. Like I won't. I mean, we're not chained to the wall and they're not whipping us or anything like that. But I mean, you'll break a sweat for sure. But you know, it's a good atmosphere. A lot of film fandom in the room as we're packing movies, and you know, we definitely work our butt off to try to get it out the door as fast as we can. There's a lot of circumstances that arise that people don't, you know, understand in the world of, they just think that something could show up instantaneously. But there's, I will just say on that end, there's a lot of earnest, hard work effort to make titles show up as quick as possible. There's logistic stuff outside of the shipping room that often slows the process down. So it is what it is. Like the Postal Service, for example. You know, I'm not going to throw them under the bus because there's a lot of postal workers that are hard workers, but sometimes they're overloaded. And so that can delay stuff. So it's not necessarily like Severin, delaying shipment. So yeah, it is what it is, but it's a lot of fun. You get to meet a lot of good people that know film, and and get to see all the releases, and yeah, great atmosphere. Love doing it.
It's been nice during the sales to have Spaghetti come back and update the Discord, being like,
Yeah,
"Well, today we finally got in this one title, so if you're waiting on
yeah,
that, it's going to start shipping now."
yeah. I try to do my part just to sort of break down some of the rumor mill a little bit,
Right.
So, but yeah, I mean, it's a good time for sure working in that room. So I'd say working in that room because that's where we're a small mighty crew. So
All right. So tonight we are talking about the theatrical experience as a whole. To put you on the spot, in your memory, what is the best theatrical experience you ever had?
best theatrical experience. I mean, obviously, I'm gonna have a lot of like old times. I tend to ramble, so just heads up. Sorry,
Ramble
I'm
away.
just put on the spot, and then I start garbling my life story. Um, I think a lot of your older stuff, like I remember seeing Roger Rabbit and stuff, larger than life films. I think that's due to my age. But if we have to say like something that's outstanding where you're cheering at the screen, probably something like Jurassic Park. That was 95. I was 10 when that came out, so it's the right age where it's a film that's like an event. It's huge, larger than life. I remember seeing. I remember going to see Star Wars. Not obviously not when it originally came out, but they did like they brought it back out, and yeah, this is when like they threw in CGI Jabba the Hutt, and everybody, George
Right.
Lucas was roasted under coals for that. But I'm a little kid, so like that's huge experience. So yeah, things like that. The big movies for sure has been my best experience on that stuff. Yeah.
Have you done many things that made it a theatrical event, like anything with filmmakers there, or done any of the 4DX or D-Box or any of those fancy ones?
I've seen a couple 3D movies. The standard 3D, you get the glasses. I will say this. I wish I was able to go to more screenings where like cast and crew was there to give Q&As, things like that. Living in the Midwest and now living in Arizona, I haven't really gotten a lot of that.
Right.
Like I know that, LA gets it and New York gets it, and probably Chicago and stuff like that. But so throwing that to the side because I don't have that, it's really a lot of like the elemental gimmicks that has to hook me in. I will say one thing currently, because I live in Phoenix. We only have what we got here. It's the fifth largest city in the United States, but it's still growing in culture. So they're doing what they can. And we have a lot of chain stuff. So we have Harkins Theater, which is like a chain here. But the one gimmick that still hooks me that I was going to bring up today is they have the biggest theater in the western portion of Phoenix. It might be the biggest theater in Phoenix, but it's called Cinema One. And they still bring out these big, flowy golden curtains like 1950s or something like that. And they really make it a spectacle to pull the curtains aside, do the rotating spotlights and stuff like that. And it's just little simple things like that that I think make all the difference in the world, no matter what film I'm watching. Now, it does make a difference later on with the film, but that first setup, I think, does wonders. And that's one of the first things that, I mean, I wish I could have the other elements, but that's what I do have, at least. I can champion that.
I will say Blake used to live around where I live now, so
Yeah.
we've got a lot of the same like reference
Mm-hmm.
points. And one of the things that's really cool is Kansas City. They have a lot of theaters. A lot of people don't know
Yeah.
this. They are the headquarters of AMC here.
Yep.
Over in Leawood, Kansas. It's in the Kansas City metro. So there's a lot of AMC to choose from. There's like 5 or 6, maybe even more than that, AMC's in the area. But beyond that, we have a little independent theater called Screenland Armor, which you have probably heard as a movie fan just scrolling through these things. Every year they have a film festival there called Panic Fest. There's a lot of places that has like partnered with Screenland to show some things. Kevin Smith has popped in for a screening of his newest Jay and Silent Bob film. I will say what Blake just mentioned is also a very similar thing for Screenland. Is they've got the curtains, they've got a little like automated robot that does the little socket turning thing that opens the curtains, and seeing this is going to be a weird like touch point, but seeing the fourth Hatchet film, which is called Victor Crowley, with Adam Green there in Screenland armor, was a really fun night. I mean, to have the filmmaker sitting there laughing along with his film with a big audience, everybody had sold it out, and it's a funny movie, like it's a comedy horror movie, and people are into it. And then to have him do the Q&A after, it was something that doesn't happen that often in KC, so it was pretty special. Love to hear that. Craig says shout out to the Stray Cat, another small Kansas City theater that's great. There is so many different ways that you can look at this. Another thing that I could say is I got really lucky. Where I grew up in California, we lived about 45 minutes drive away from a place that had like one of the only D-Box theaters at the time. And I got to see way back in, what was it, 2012 that it came out? I got to see Cabin in the Woods in a D-Box theater.
That'd be cool.
And I had never done anything like that before. So having it, the opening shots where after they get out of the little factory they're in, and they're introducing like the core 4 or 5 that you meet the teenagers. There's this one shot that's a crane shot. They go from the ground up to this apartment building, and the chair felt like it was rising that entire time. And the chair's not moving really. It's like slight swivels, and it's crazy that they can pull that off. I was really happy with it. It's not 4DX where they're spraying water in your face and doing wind and all that stuff, but we'll get into some more of those. Let's talk about William Castle. How do you feel about him as a filmmaker?
Oh, I love William Castle. I love, the entirety of, not only is he's sort of an unsung director. I mean, people love his work, but he's sort of unsung in the merit of his actual films are good. But because he's known as the master of the gimmick. But I loved his gimmicks as well. And the combination of both of them clashing together is wonderment. He's definitely a director that I sort of flew over when I was younger. And he's one that because I mean, obviously you're watching like Alfred Hitchcock movies, stuff like that. And they're similar to a degree. But definitely William Castle's one that I came into knowing more of his persona later on, being more of a movie fan than just casual film watcher at a younger age. And just he's sort of like the P.T. Barnum, a Robert Ripley mentality, just sort of the wonderments of how can he add an extra spark to the movie experience. And I have a blast every time one of his movies pops up.
This is, one of those filmmakers that, like, his legacy literally precedes him. He's one of those that you hear about how he affected things and worked to literally sell his films 100% of the time.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you could say huckster, but more of like just freaking passionate and fighting to do everything you possibly can to get eyes in front of him. And when you hear about things like the Tingler and all of the gimmicks that come with all of these, it is such a unique way to experience these. And I would have loved to have been a part of so many of these screens.
Oh yeah, just the atmosphere of it. I mean, and it's just simple novelties. And it just, like I said, talking about like just Harkins and the experience of just the golden, robes just separating like that. It's just the little elements that make a difference. And so I just know that, William Castle could just put something that's simple on the screen. And now I'm going to build him up that he actually put out some really well movies without the gimmick, but he could just put something on the screen, and then just the atmosphere that is created from the little novelty tricks that he does just blows it through the roof. So.
Yeah. He's done so many different types of gimmicks that he was literally famous for them. And again, not every film of his had them. So he was definitely a filmmaker outside of that as well. But it all comes down to, sorry if you heard that, we just had a thunderstorm start outside.
Oh, geez.
It was really loud. what this comes down to is the experience, selling people
Mhm.
on a reason to come to these, and not, I hate to use the word just, but like come to
Mhm.
these without just experiencing a film, to make it something. And you've got a unique background in that. What did you do with experiences in your prior jobs?
Yeah. So, I mean, first of all, I was just a standard theater grunt working in a movie theater. That wasn't really necessarily experience, but I worked in a movie theater. I knew it was actually the AMC Independence Commons 20, which is probably in your neck of the woods a little bit. So hopefully, if that place is still
Been there many
standing.
times. That's where I watched Oppenheimer, and I tried
Oh,
to never go to that theater because it's awful.
oh, geez. Well, in my day, it was decent, but yeah, I can't speak for it now. But no, after working there, I definitely was given the opportunity to work with a lot of experienced like retailers. But I worked for Mattel and Disney both, and they definitely have a mentality where it's not directly you're not at a store, or you're not just there doing a mundane thing. You're there and it's an event. And so that's definitely something that I've tried to carry with me in mentality. And that's why I think like Castle Films and just movie going experience has, carried with me as well. First of all, I worked with Mattel directly under the window of, they had American Girl dolls, which it was sort of a joke. I was sort of the dude in the doll store, but I was in logistics mainly. So I mean, I'm not out there combing doll hair, but that was something they did, which that's an event, because some little girl would go into the store, and it's not like kudos to Toys R Us for being cool, because we love it in a nostalgia sense. But go to Toys R Us and here's a package, you go grab it, you go ring up. Here you're in there and you're getting the full catered experience. It was almost like a theme park. And in the middle of in Missouri, and this was actually in Kansas, but in the middle of the country where you're separated from all these major theme parks and stuff like that, we did our darndest to make that the experience. So like with American Girl, I mainly did a lot of like training, in the sense that there's a lot of historical characters, and people wouldn't know to sell. They would just sell standard dolls, and I actually went and researched the history of all these characters, because they have a series of books, and I was applying like historical factors. And then all of a sudden, I had like all these sales staff going out there and like teaching the children, like, this is the World War II doll, and she's got a friend from the Blitzkrieg, and all this stuff. And then all of a sudden, it builds this entire world for the
Right.
kid. And it made that much of a difference, because the sales went through the roof. And then from there, I was able to make like training materials for the rest of the company. And, I wish that the American Girl franchise went a different route. I guess they're doing okay now, but a lot of those stores primarily closed. That's outside of my bubble. But from there, I went and I worked at Disney. And Disney, I did a lot of the same kind of things, where I built an experience store from the ground up. And like I said, you have your theme park in LA and you have your theme park in, Orlando, and you're in the middle of, the Kansas City metro area. They're 2 days drive in both directions. You better make sure that kid who walks into the door is going to Disneyland that day. And so it's just a wonderment of turning that into an event. I mean, we did rope drops when the store opened, and I mean, you're in Oak Park Mall at 8 o'clock on a Tuesday with just mall walkers walking around, and and we're like, the lights are off, and here's like one kid, or it's not even a kid, it might just be a mall walker, and we would I'd press a button and Tinkerbell's flying around the store a Tuesday morning at 8 o'clock, but it's the little things like that. I could press buttons and make Muppets hop out of trees, and it was a blast. But what it goes to show is the mentality of, you don't work directly in a store, you work in an experience.
Right.
And I think that ties in with castle, for sure. And it also ties in with probably a mentality that a saturated theater industry right now might need to look into to some degree, and they're looking into their avenues, but it's all about bringing the experience back. And I guess the other thing I didn't really allude to is I was part of the team that built these stores from the ground up. Not only did I run some logistics for them, but I was able to see them being built. So it sort of connected me with, I watched Matinee, as we talked about today, and it was really cool to see the scene with like, John Goodman's character, Woolsey, putting the buzzers under the seats and like that. So I got to see like sort of behind the scenes of how all that comes into effect. But yeah, it's ultimately, it boils down to, in my ramble here, recreation of the experience, and how the experience turns something that is normal into something even so much more. And that's how to sell something.
There was a some sort of news article that came out recently that has revealed that it's like the top 8 movie theater chains or something like that in the US and Canada are investing a shit ton of money into adding not only like better seating and better audio and visual and all that stuff, but they're investing in pickleball courts. And it's this sort of thing that is super interesting, but also weird. Like, people are not going to the theater because you don't have pickleball courts. However,
Yeah.
I could see the appeal of like going somewhere and literally making a night out of it, being able to get your entire food, the alcohol, spend some outside activity, and then end the night with the date night at the movie theater type of thing. But I when you're talking about the Disney store, I still remember as a child in 1994 going to the Disney store in Southern California, and there's things to crawl through. There's stuff that like you would literally slide down off of one of the rocks and suddenly you're in a different part of the store looking at more products. And that experience lives with me. I still have that pure memory. I can smell it. That's how weird the Disney stores are. Movie theaters need something like that. If we are in a part where everybody is failing, everybody's questioning that. Let me pull up the link. The pickleball thing is very real. Oh God, this link is forever long. It is $2.2 billion to upgrade cinemas, improve tech, and add pickleball courts. I think I can post a link in the chat. Open this in another tab and take a look at it. They are literally adding pickleball. It is such an odd situation. Like, if you are somebody that runs a theater in 2024, the biggest enemy right now, and I hope you agree because you used to work for them, is Disney. They require certain things to be in the theater for a certain amount of time, to play a certain number of times throughout the day, and it's squashing what some of these smaller theaters could do for events. I mean, so many of these theaters across the country don't ever have the opportunity to have rep screenings, and many of the smaller towns across the US has literally never had a rep screening because they're required to. If you're going to play newer films, you have to play them for a certain period of time. I mean, how do we get past this?
Yeah, Disney is very interesting that I always say that they're obviously an experienced company first, film company second. And sometimes that's a good thing and sometimes that's a bad thing. It's a good thing in the sense that you're walking in the Disney store and they're making Disneyland for in the moment. It's a bad thing in the sense of evolving with the industry, and also being a fair partner in the industry. And that's one of my biggest gripes with them, is they're very much in the moment. They sort of have blinders on to do their gain in the moment, and then whatever, if it's something that's not really helping them out in the moment, just throw it away. Versus, I mean, they do have a sense of history in the sense of like, stuff Walt Disney did and like the rides and things like that. But like, take for example, they used to have a Blu-ray line. I know this is getting away from theater, but they used to have the Disney Classics Blu-ray line of like all the stuff like 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea and Apple Dumpling Gang, stuff like that. And that was only, you could get that if you were a member of their club. But now it's like the club's gone. It's like, are you going to get those titles? Who knows? You can probably eBay them. But it's just what Disney is, in a sense, that they're just like, no, this is how we play ball. You're going to work with us here. And they're very sighted in the moment of what can they gain with the properties until it's expended. So yeah, Disney is Disney. That's in a nutshell.
Craig says in the chat, the studios killed theaters with their streaming, quote, strategy. Friends of mine say that they went regularly and now they go rarely. They always say, I can just watch it at home. And that's true for a lot of titles. I also think it's funny that they tried after COVID to go back to, in a lot of these ads or trailers now, we're seeing exclusively in theaters. But in all reality, if the film fails, like the Joker sequel, it's going to be streaming like 2 weeks later.
Yeah.
They can't afford to not have it playing.
Yeah, and there's limited risk if you don't miss it. You know, you hear word of mouth and people are like, oh, this movie stinks. And you're like, all right, well, I'll just get it on streaming. So there's no risk for the consumer. And, you know, once again, it's all about in that moment to moment basis, you know, it's like whatever. But then in the grand scheme of things, all these are bubbling up. Right. And, you know, you had the situation of COVID, which, you know, COVID is what COVID is. You know, it's something we couldn't avoid. But when you're sitting at home and you're in your sweatpants and just lounging on your couch and doing your own thing, that became the experience. And now we have to break people out of the bubbles of the theaters have to break people out of that bubble of what are they going to do to compete? Because before it was just the old standard of this is the only way you can watch it. And they're trying to do a little bit of that. You know, you advertise the big movies and say it's only going to be in theaters now. But the system is now damaged to the point where people are preconditioned. That's like whatever. And then now you have these huge, massive hits that even if they were a film that wasn't the greatest, even if it was a flop, it would still make way more, like Joker 2, right? I haven't seen Joker 2. I don't know if it's good or bad. You know, I'll eventually see it. But we live in a day and age where, you know, Joker 2 would sell tons regardless of how well it was made. But now it's just that word of mouth just, you know, sparked a flame and it just died on arrival. Right. And so how are we going to break that? And the theaters have to figure out something to spark that flame.
Obviously, we're not going to change anything. I'd love to hear if anybody in the chat has any ideas for these. Sibner wants to point out if you're living near an AMC, just get A-list. One Dolby show will already save you like $4, and it's true. I mean, in some of the smaller towns, it's not quite that expensive, but I know in my state the A-list is literally less than $20. It's $19.95, and to go to like a anything after 5 p.m. most of the films start at like $21. So getting A-list, I'm already literally saving money if I only go once. But now I can go 3 times a week for the entire month. That's crazy.
Yeah. And so I think they're definitely doing better about like, the prices individually are egregious, but that's inflation in general. But they're doing good with the package deals.
Yep.
But they still have to find that middle ground of how can the package deal still compete in streaming, you know, or something like that. And ultimately, you know, like I said, streaming is convenient in the moment, but we've gotten to a point where we're, you know, half a decade or more in, and we've started to see the effects of it in that sense. And I'm not all against streaming. I've just seen that the natural causation of it is definitely evolving some things. And I also think outside of streaming, I think a saturation of, I mean, I could go on a whole Disney tangent, you know, and we could get into that later, but I think saturation of properties is another thing that has waned people down as well. You know, I worked for Disney when they bought Star Wars and Marvel, and it was very exciting in the beginning. But then in typical Disney fashion, what they do is they find every single little character, even the ones that are in one scene that you, and as an employee with the Disney company, you know all their character names, like all the random cars in the Cars movie that are in one scene in the background, you know that's Fred. You know, and it's like, okay, and you better sell 20 Fred plushies to a kid, right? And so I knew as soon as, like, that's what superheroes are going through right now. You know, Disney bought Marvel and they're making a movie out of every single little character that, you know, I'm glad maybe the fandom of that one character is getting their movie, but it's also killed the market. It's not
Right.
something special anymore. So that's another coexisting tandem.
Craig just said Tuesday nights are only like $6. I just went and looked to book a seat at the AMC that I normally go to watch the new Venom movie next Tuesday. It is $14, and that is the discounted price. Normally,
Yeah.
it's about $20, $22. Discounted is $14, which is a lot still. If
Yeah.
you were to go, and if suddenly if you're taking a partner, which most people go at least 2 people to a theater, you're looking at $28
Yeah.
plus tax and convenience fees. Doing that as a family, now you're talking
Yeah.
56 plus tax and
Yeah.
convenience fees.
I'm a family of 5. And when we go to the movie, it's usually all 5 of us. And it has to be well worth our time. And so that's why it's like, all right, I'm doing what I can to help the industry, but we got to have this spark again, you know, to make it magic.
Terry says, A-List and Unlimited, it's good for the consumer, but unless those consumers go to concessions, it doesn't help theaters, which is correct.
Yes.
You absolutely should be doing that. Not every time, obviously, you don't need to, but at least somewhat help them out a little bit.
Yeah, the
Craig
Dollar
says,
General box of candy that you're smuggling in your pants.
do you need to be a member to get the good deal? Craig, I was signed in. That was the price as a signed-in A-List member. It was showing $13.99 and then discounted $13.99 became $0.
Yeah, I remember when I worked for AMC 20 and everybody loved My Big Fat Greek Wedding. And the reason why the theaters loved that movie is it ran for a year straight. And so at that point, the theater starts to get revenue from that movie. So they kept going the My Big Fat Greek Wedding train for like, oh God, that thing was showing for like 9 months straight.
Same with Titanic.
Yeah, it's whatever the window is. You know, there's a little bit right off the bat, it goes straight to the studio, but there is a window where if they keep it long enough, it's, you know, it goes to them. But now it's like, I mean, we don't live in that world where there's no way a movie can go to and I don't know the logistics of like when they're doing like Classics Night and they're pulling ET on the thing, you know, how much of that is going to Universal and how much of that is going to the theater. I'm sure plenty of it's going back to Universal still, but I don't know the logistics of that. But yeah, it's a different world.
Quite often, we can gauge some of this because one of the biggest holders of theatrical titles, for especially the ones that we like, is AGFA. They actually control a lot of the theatrical screenings, and most of the time, their screenings only cost $250 for the theater. And so when you are showing a film like that and your theater holds, I don't know, even 75 people, if you're charging $10 a seat, which most theaters are charging around there, if not more, you're making a little bit of money at least.
Yeah. And so, I mean, like I said, that's you know, what a lot of people want to see again. If we're going back to the events, that's the step in the right direction is, you know, the standby classics to put on the screen. Yeah, we gotta morph into having modern day films doing the same, but whatever they need to figure out to do of having classics, not like right now, my local chain is Harkins, and they have a classics night. I think it's like on Wednesday or something like that. And I don't think they advertise it that much, so I never go to it. But the tickets are fairly cheap. But I would love to see something old, you know, on the screen in all of its grandeur and glory. But it's just sort of a moot point. And I understand that's the industry, and they're filling stuff in. You know, they're gonna have 20 screens of Terrifier 12, but you know, it's I don't know the logistics of how much they care from a corporate standpoint to pursue that stuff. But I mean, there's a lot of like the easiest one's probably like Rocky Horror, and you have the
Yep.
whole gimmick with the cast or with the audience dancing to all the things. But I don't know how much revenue that would bring in, but
Well,
things
even
like
then,
that.
that's usually not like your Regals or AMCs, which are most
Yeah,
popular across the US because they
yeah,
literally can't because of the Disney
yeah,
requirements.
yeah. It's your little independent one, which I forgot to shout out earlier because I know Phoenix. I said that it's growing in culture. I do have a friend that runs something called Cemetery, which is local here, and he's definitely doing his damnedest to play some old classic horror movies. So I want to give him a shout out for sure.
Terry is correct here too. He says, as much as I love trailers, they really need to show less of them. People were burned
Mhm.
out on them when I was still working in one, and I've noticed as the viewer, it's gotten worse. I will say,
Yeah,
AMC is great for A-list, but they are awful for fucking trailers. I didn't know how bad it was because we had not been going to an AMC. To get to my closest AMC, it's a good 20-ish minute drive. And so we didn't start doing that until we got A-list like 3 months ago. But we went in there and I had heard that it had gotten worse. So I said on the first time that we went, I want to test this. And our first showing is at 1 o'clock. And they started showing the first trailer at 12:59, and the movie did not start until 1:28. 29 minutes of trailers and the Nicole Kidman ad and
yeah,
go buy snacks, whatever it was, all of that stuff. 29 minutes, like it's already a 2 hour, 20-minute movie. For you to put
yeah,
another half hour on that is a damper to my day.
yeah. Harkins, I mean, they're okay with it. There's a lot of local ads that they put on there as well. But yeah, for sure, if you're time constrained, and now the interesting factor of you're buying seats early, it's like purchasing seats on an airplane versus just you can't really go to a theater in the whim of it anymore.
Right.
And so I just think that, and then that's sort of what I used to do back in my, more aggressive movie watching days in the theater. Is I would just say, what are you going to do right now? I don't know. Go to the theater. Now it's just a whole structured ordeal. And for you to pragmatically think, okay, this is a 2 hour, 15-minute movie, and it turns into a 3 hour movie, it's like, yeah, totally changes things up.
Craig says, I forget what I'm there to see by the time
Yeah.
the trailers end.
Yeah.
That's so true. I mean, the hard part, and I think it was Simner was just joking. I already know that Wolfman is the new damn. Will this movie come out already, so I can stop seeing this trailer? There was the whole joke about Speak No Evil this year. Everybody that has gone to the theater, even once every couple weeks, you have seen that trailer this year probably 40 times. And before that one, it was Shyamalan's Trap. It was just you see this thing over and over and over again, and it's
Yeah.
crazy how much they throw it out there.
Yeah, and it gets to the point where it's saturation, and you have a audience that is like, well, if I miss it the first week that it's in theaters, it's just going to be over on eight on Max in 5 seconds anyway. So I might as well just hang out. If I miss it, so it's almost like, do you want to promote your films to get people hyped, but
Right.
also at the same time, it's like, do you want to overdo it where you kill the buzz? And then people have easy options to just see it at their own leisure outside of it. So it's like,
Some clarification from Craig. He just went on AMC and he says when you go to checkout, the price drops to $7 at checkout. So I guess I did not go one step. It said 14 and maybe goes to 7 after that. Still, it's only on Tuesday nights. There's a lot of parents that can't get out on Tuesday nights.
yeah,
The hard part.
yeah.
Patty Boy says, I like the trailers because I get my popcorn and soda and have 20 minutes to settle in. I get that. Trailers are always too loud, 3 times the movie itself. Yep.
Yeah.
And unless streamers are giving theaters price breaks, I really don't understand commercials for Prime Movies or Hulu or Tubi. That is a great question. Great question. So what's up with the experiences? Any ideas for people? What are theaters missing? What do you think we should have? What about you, Blake? Any ideas?
Well, I mean, I'm speaking for I enjoy the films that are an event. It was really interesting seeing a release schedule of films this year, and they're using old IPs because they're sort of in life support mode. A lot of the theater industry and a lot of these studios, they're like, the only thing we can pump out, it's not worth. I think part of them wants to pump out a fresh new idea, but the business logistics of it is not as safe, not safe ground. So they're going to put out a lot of stuff like, Twister 2, right? For example. And I enjoyed that for what it was, because I loved the first Twister growing up. I was that perfect age. I was like 10, 11,
Same.
12 when it first came out. And so the second movie comes out. It pays respect to the first film, but it's very much its own film. And I think Twister 2 worked because it's a disaster film. So you can make an event out of it. But they're going to get to a point where they're just oversaturating all these IPs that they're starting to kill all the established love. It's like when you had the first 3 Star Wars movies and they were amazing. They were an event. And then you release 3 more and you're still cool with it. And then they release 3 more and you're like, okay. And now there's TV shows and there's a billion things. And now Star Wars pales in comparison to what it once was. Right. Or the other thing, I guess a recent one, before I end this tangent here, is Beetlejuice, right? I loved Beetlejuice. Beetlejuice 2 just came out. I enjoyed Beetlejuice 2 for what it was, but they tried to turn it into a ride with 20 billion different ideas all smashed into one movie. Yep. And it's almost like I couldn't breathe in the movie. Because I was like, I love this concept. I love this concept. You guys could have made 2 movies out of this one movie. I mean, heck, they have to make a movie called Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice anyway, out of irony of the series. You might as well save some of the ideas and do the other one. So that's the road that they should not go down, that I do see them going down. And so when it comes to events, they need to do, obviously, I like the idea of old disaster films is a safe bet. Make it a ride, scare the audience. That's why the horror is the old standby. I really wish I could see something in that 40X or D box. Yeah. Like I said, Phoenix is a growing city, and eventually they'll get one because they're big enough to get one. But I would love to like ride Twister 2, in that thing, or the original Twister. Release some of the old films and then do the same kind of effects with that. The old standbys that people clamor for and have a huge nostalgia build, and work with some special effects person to not add to it. We're not talking about George Lucas CGI Jabba the Hutt here, but like add effects to it. I just got back from Disneyland a couple weeks ago, and they had a simple little 3D movie in that, and there's little stuff flying at your face and it's just the little novelties of it all that I think is the first building block. That's on that standpoint. I do think that we also have to have normalcy to get back into dramas and comedies, and those really aren't your gimmick films. It's an interesting landscape, and I think that there's some hurdles to get through, but I think in retrospect, I think we have to go through growing pains, and we'll get there. I think this is going to be known as like the big business era when you're looking at film eras. And I think in 10 years' time, we'll have some crazy film movement that it'll have its own pros and cons, but it'll be interesting to look back at this.
The whole 40X thing, this is one thing I was thinking about before. Like I mentioned earlier the D-Box thing. When I was in California, I had to drive 45 minutes to get to a D-Box theater, and I think it's the only one that was there. I mean, this was 13 years ago or whatever, but imagine if you lived in a smaller town and you took a fairly small footprint on, Main Street, USA, wherever, and just make a little 2-theater 4DX or D-Box place that can show catalog titles and not live on new titles. So you don't have the desire to compete with Disney. You can play Cabin in the Woods the entire month of October.
Yeah.
Come spend $12 and watch Cabin in the Woods and D-Box and buy our, festival apple cinnamon beer or whatever we're doing. It's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it's not hard because as we're talking about, William Castle here, he's pulling all these gimmicks in the 1950s, right? And so, I don't know, like the safety of it all, the wiring under the seats, but, that's been 50 years plus. And so I'm sure that there's been some novelties, but that's what they got to break through the barrier of. And I think, yes, there's an industry standard where we got to fix the new movies that come out, but then also I think there's just a reliable source of old movies that, especially like you said, Small Town USA, or just moderate, any moderate metropolitan area place that has plenty of population, just show some of those classics, but don't rely on like $6 classic night, just come see the movie and just whatever, zone out. Build it as, you could turn it from $6 classic night to $10-15 classic night if it's going to be a crazy, shake you around a little bit, whatever novelty it is, and I think that is going to be something that starts to get people in more and more. And then you can make new films that sort of branch off of like, hey, you enjoyed this experience, that because word of mouth catches on, right? And so like, hey, you enjoyed the reinsurgence of whatever movie that hit a spark again, that news is going to travel, and then somebody's going to make a movie that plays on that gimmick, but it'll be a new movie, and then here you got a fresh new genre. And I mean, the problem is, yes, things can get oversaturated eventually, but we're jumping forward into something. I think that's where the Terrifier thing sort of comes in, because I'll applaud Terrifier for what it's doing in its own little right. It's building upon its gimmick. Yes, it's a chore for some people, and some people really love it, but you have to really sit there and say, Terrifier is doing its thing, and it is, yes, it's horror, so yes, that's the most accessible thing, but yeah, make people put their phones away. But yeah, it's one of those things. So.
Fully agree with Zimmer, who is saying, here's a nifty gimmick, make people put their phones away. I used to have an Alamo Drafthouse here in Kansas City. They closed down momentarily, and then B&B Theaters bought them, and they're using it now. But I only went to that Alamo because of the whole no phone requirement and no talking during it, or we'll literally kick you out. I really wish most theaters would do that. And if you stick to that, it literally becomes an experience because you're enveloped by the film. The amount of times I've seen people texting on their watch and peeking at the time during like dark scenes in a horror movie is so goddamn annoying.
Yeah, I mean, it's the evolution of human attention, which has not helped any of this whatsoever. And so, yeah, I've definitely seen my fair share of people just pulling up their phone. And I think I've seen only a movie theater employee like once or twice tell somebody to turn it off. But I definitely, every big movie I go to, there's somebody sitting there like just playing something on their phone. It's sort of the population we become. They should just put a big thing on the theater screen that says, if you pull up your phone, we will confiscate it, or something, like some scare tactic. I don't know. They probably can't do some
they can't
liability,
sure.
But do some scare tactic, and there'll be at least 60% of the audience that will buy it, even though if they can't do it. So,
I mean, you have the right to refuse service.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, if they're ruining it for other people, even if you got to refund them, get out. Like, I'd rather have everybody else happy and have you out of the room.
Exactly. And it needs to be the undivided attention again. I think that's a big chunk of it.
Craig says, most people in LA have pretty good theater etiquette. That is very lucky. But Sibner says, block the cell signal from getting inside the theater. I mean, that's a good start. Make them all a Faraday cage. But that's probably not enough. People are still going to check the time and shit. And that light is so blinding. If like somebody is driving at night and there's no lights on the screen, and suddenly somebody's like, oh, it's 7:34. Got it.
People just don't care anymore. It's just the cell phone's so ingrained in it. I mean, they say I won't go on a tangent of driving, but when people see daily that are just driving 2 miles an hour down the road because they're texting while they're driving, it's the same thing. It's just cell phones are so ingrained that it's got to be just a hard stop. So,
complete tangent, I guess. I'm enraged by how many people I've seen watching TikTok while driving. What in the hell are you doing?
Yeah, I'm definitely in the phase where another random job I used to have, and we won't take a tangent on this whole thing, but I used to investigate automobile accidents also. So texting and driving is a big thing with me that I hate. But yeah, I'm definitely in the mode now where I'm in the car pickup line, dropping off my kids, picking them up all the time. And I can't tell you how many people are just going slower than dirt because they're just texting and looking at all that. That's a mess. So yeah, we just need to get rid of cell phones. Then the theater industry will be booming again. Just all cell phones gone. Let's just go back to
There's the
flip phone, Motorola's, and Snake.
And no backlights.
Yeah, none of it.
Well, in 2 hours, in one of our shortest episodes, we have solved the theater experience. Just get rid of cell phones.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming on, Blake. This has been
Yeah,
super fun.
absolutely. Yeah, I'm glad being here. Had a lot of fun.
Again, shouting out some things for Blake. Everybody needs to pick up River. This is the first Graveface title that was released. Incredible art. If you've never looked close, the back of this release is gorgeous. Like, both sides are great, but man, this is, especially if you've seen the film, this is a really great picture. Incredible that you were on the first release. Other than that, go follow his Letterboxd, and then I've got some links for other podcasts and shows that he's been on in the description. Go check out more of Blake. And if you want to read his opinion and have him respond, come join the Discord. We'd love to have you.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, everybody, have a good night. Next Thursday's Halloween night. You know, we got to do something fun for that, so we will see you then. And in the meantime, go watch a movie, and we'll see you on the next one.
Okay.
Thank you for watching The Disconnected. On the way out, make sure that you are subscribed to the channel, that you've liked the video, and that you've copied the link to be able to share with someone else that may appreciate this.